Welcome back to the show. This is KDS Reviews. This particular episode, we're going to talk about the movie franchise. Now, for me, the movie franchises kind of started late 70s, early 80s, where they started making more and more sequels. Now, there have been some very good movie franchises, some that still been pretty good, and then some that don't know when to stop. Let's talk about some of my favorite movie franchises. First of all, there's Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes. Now, when that first movie ended, that seemed like that should be the end of that whole series of movies. Shouldn't have been a sequel. But because, the studio wanted more and more money, they wanted to do a whole nother series of movies. And I remember reading that Charlton Heston really didn't want to play that character anymore. He really thought that the movie was over. And really, the ending of it, it kind of is over. So he did get into the second movie, But if you watch it at the end of the second Planet of the Apes movie, they blow the Earth up. So how could there be any more? But we found out later on that was just a nuclear bomb and the Earth is still there. But to me, this is a series of movies actually that got better and better as they went on. I mean, there's even a particular movie in the series where they start from the very beginning and they show you how this happened. And how this started. I really like that when I picked up the physical copies of these movies, and that's Planet of the Apes. Up next, there's the Dark Knight series, the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Now, who would have thought that he could take a comic book character, which to me is a niche anyway, and you give it an overall appeal so that people who don't even like comic book movies will start watching these movies. This is another one. They got better as they were going on. You got the first one where he starts off as he just be showing how he became Batman, And then the second one, you got this epic performance by Heath Ledger as the Joker. And then it is rounded out. To me, actually, the better villain, that's Bane. That to me was The Dark Knight Rises is better than all the other two movies to me. But this is another series that was extremely popular, and that's the Dark Knight trilogy. Up next, here's one that's been around for decades, and that's James Bond. Now, several actors have played James Bond in this series of movies right now. There's a lot of things about these movies that give them mass appeal. You got all these gadgets, that are in these movies. That really, to me, appeal to a lot of people. Then you got a lot of iconic villains in this movie. And then, of course, you got the girls. And this is a family show, so we won't name their names. But this is another one right here. It's been a while since the last one, And they haven't named who the new James Bond is going to be. Maybe I'll do a show about that, about who you think they should pick as the new James Bond. And that's 007 series. Another epic series to me. And here's one right here, based off some books, J.R.R. Tolkien, and that's Lord of the Rings. Here's another one right here. And I remember seeing some of these things done as animation when I was a kid. I didn't really feel like those movies were too heavy, too top heavy, too big to be made into a series. But they pulled them off really good, especially the second one, The Two Towers, with all this epic battle that seemed like the whole movie is this big battle. And that series right there, that turned out to be a very good series. Now, it's a hard watch because they have some very long movies, but still, I kind of like them. The older it's gotten, the more and more I've gone back and watched some of them. I'm like, wow, these are some really good movies. Up next here to me, this right here was the granddaddy of them all. Kind of started all this, and that's the Star Wars series. And I'm talking about the original three, not that Disney stuff. It's got some of the most iconic characters that had ever been put on film history. And to me, one of the best villains in cinema history, and that's Darth Vader. Because when this movie was made, you got to understand this for my younger viewers, there was nothing like that that's ever been seen. There's nothing like the special effects we saw in this movie. This movie was absolutely mind-blowing. That people went back over and over and over to see these movies because they were just, I mean, they were just unreal. You didn't think you'd ever seen anything like that before. And remember, at one point, Star Wars, the original Star Wars, was the highest grossing movie of all time. You know, I mean, this is still, like, if not 1A, the biggest and most enjoyable film franchise that there is. And that's Star Wars. And then right now, to me, almost who's the reigning king, and that's Marvel. Now, Marvel, to me, people keep asking me, you know, I have friends of mine that keep asking me, well, when does this end? This never ends, dude. You know, this is like 70, 80 years of comic books that they can make over and over and over stories, you know, that can go on and on. You know, created some of the most iconic characters, like Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. There's an epic story here that's going on, you know. And that's appealing somewhat to the non-comic book fans, you know, to pull them in. But they have enough people and enough comic book readers, to me, that they could just keep on going with this. I'm not having any problem with it. Maybe someone else is. But I'm enjoying this more and more because as a little kid, I never thought they'd be able to make any of these comic books into movies. And some of these movies, really, if you follow the stories, I mean, these movies are absolutely terrific. I just enjoy them more and more. And we got a big one coming up at the end of the year, Avengers Doomsday. This is KDS Reviews. I remember KDS Reviews is seen every Wednesday and every Sunday. And throughout the week, we talk about the state of Hollywood as far as movie making is. If you like this type of content, then like, subscribe, and share. You know, what are some of your favorite movie franchises that you like? Why don't you comment down below? This is KDS Reviews, and I'll see you in the next video.